Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'm trying to show the comments as they come in too. Is this still big enough to see? Okay, so we'll leave it like that. So we're reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter 3, text 31. 31? Or is it 32? It's 32. I marked it wrong. It's 32. I think, yeah, 32. We did 31 yesterday. I marked the screen wrong. Yeah. So number 32. Chapter is called Gajendra's Prayers of Surrender. We have only 2 verses left in this chapter, this one and the next one. Santa Sarash Yu Rubalena Grihita Arto Drishtva Garut Mati Harinka Upata Chakram Ukshipya Sambuja Karangiram Aha Krichtran Narayan Adi Narayan Akila Guru Bhagavan Namaste Santasarasyo Rubalena Grihita Arto Drishtva Garut Mati Harinka Upata Chakram Ukshipya Sambuja Karangiram Aha Krichtran Narayana Kila Guru Bhagavan Namaste So, go ahead. Santa Sarashur Balena Grihita Arto Drishtva Garut Mati Harinka Upata Chakram Ukshipya Sambuja Karangiram Aha Krichtran Narayana Kila Guru Bhagavan Namaste Sarasur Balena Grihita Arto Drishtva Garut Mati Harinka Upata Chakram Ukshipya Sambuja Karangiram Aha Krichtran Narayana Kila Guru Bhagavan Namaste Santasaya Varena Grihita Arto Drishtva garutmati harinka upata chakram Ukshipya sambuja karangiram aha krishnan Narayana Kila Guru Bhagavan Namaste Saha He Gajendra Anta Sarasi in the water Uru Balena with great force Grihita who had been captured by the crocodile Artaha and severely suffering Drishtva upon seeing Garutmati on the back of Garuda Harim the Lord K in the sky Upata Chakram wielding his disc Ukshipya raising Sa Ambuja Karam his trunk along with a lotus flower Kiram Aha uttered the words Kritstrut with great difficulty because of his precarious position. Narayana, O my Lord Narayana, Akila Guru, O Universal Lord, Bhagavan, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, Namaste, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Actually, I forgot I had actually put the translation here too. Give it a second. The translation. Gajendra had been forcibly captured by the crocodile in the water and was feeling acute pain. But when he saw that Narayan, wielding his disc, was coming in the sky on the back of Garuda, he immediately took a lotus flower in his trunk. And with great difficulty, due to his painful condition, he uttered the following words, O my Lord Narayan, Master of the universe, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Repeat after me. Gajendra had been forcibly captured by the crocodile in the water and was feeling acute pain. But when he saw that Narayan, wielding his disc, was coming in the sky on the back of Garuda, he immediately took a lotus flower in his trunk, and with great difficulty, due to his painful condition, he uttered the following words, quote, O my Lord, Narayan, Master of the universe, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The king of the elephants was so very eager to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead that when he saw the Lord coming in the sky with great pain and in a feeble voice, he offered respect to the Lord. A devotee does not consider a dangerous position to be dangerous, for in such a dangerous position, he can fervently pray to the Lord in great ecstasy. Thus, a devotee regards danger as a good opportunity. Tate nukampang su samikshamanaha. When a devotee is in great danger, he sees that danger to be the great mercy of the Lord, because it is an opportunity to think of the Lord very sincerely and with undiverted attention. Tate nukampang su samikshamano bhujana evat mikritang vipakam. Srimad-bhagavatam verse 10th canto, 14th chapter, 8th verse. This is what I've quoted this a few times in these classes. He does not accuse the Supreme Personality of Godhead for having let his devotee fall into such a dangerous condition. Rather, he considers that dangerous condition to be due to his past misdeeds and takes it as an opportunity to pray to the Lord and offer thanks for having been given such an opportunity. When a devotee lives in this way, his salvation, his going back home, back to Godhead, is guaranteed. We can see this to be true from the example of Gajendra, who anxiously prayed to the Lord and thus received an immediate chance to return back home, back to Godhead. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
You quoted a very important verse with the translation wasn't read. Can we read the translation of that verse?
Yeah, the actual translation is not exactly here. It's just an explanation of it. If you have it, go ahead and read it. Into the microphone. To the actual translation, Srila Prabhupada explained it more or less in the purport.
My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim.
Yes. So, this is that verse is very important. That principle is very important. That verse that verse that it's quoted was spoken actually by Lord Brahma after we were just talking yesterday about Lord Brahma's mistake. But afterwards he offered these very nice prayers, and this is one of his prayers to the Lord when he finally came to try to make up for what he did. So here Srimad-bhagavatam is full of lessons for us to learn. And the Lord somehow engages his many devotees and his pure devotees, actually, in carrying out these different activities to teach these lessons. And sometimes these devotees, including Gajendra, we don't understand exactly how Gajendra ended up in this position, because he had a human body previously. But it's also very unusual that someone is born as a human body, then he takes an animal form, and he has such thoughts and can offer prayers as the Gajendra did, even though he had a form, was an elephant. This is an unusual situation. But the Lord arranged all these things to teach us out here, the rest of the world now and upcoming in the world. He is to teach us the different lessons. So here's one of these lessons. Gajendra was suffering so much, but he came to the realization finally that I'm suffering because of my past activities. I'm suffering because of my past activities, and I know that the suffering that I'm experiencing, I know that this is given to me personally by the Lord to help me. So this is important, because a lot of times, and it's not just, everywhere where people are practicing religion of any sort, whatever the religious path, including Krishna consciousness, we go through some difficult times, maybe very difficult times, and we think, oh, God did not take care of me. I don't believe in God anymore. Throw God out. God must be dead. He must not care about me. Or I guess it's just not my karma to be a religious person, which is kind of a dumb idea, but people do say these things. But actually, the Lord is giving us all opportunity to become Krishna conscious. And I've explained before, but we'll bring it up again. Even practicing Krishna consciousness, we, in the course of practicing Krishna consciousness, part of the process is getting initiated. Okay, initiation. The Srila Prabhupada says that at the time of the first initiation, the karma of the disciple, the new disciple, is like washed away. It's taken away. There's no more karma. There's no more actual reactions to what we did in the past, which is actually important, because we would have had probably millions of lifetimes of living out our karmic reactions, because of what most of us have done in the past, this lifetime and previous lifetimes. It takes one lifetime. You can produce enough bad karma to take us millions of lifetimes to work it out. So there's no way out of the entanglement other than take up Krishna consciousness. So the point here is that even when we get initiated and the karma is taken away at that time, still we say, okay, I'm initiated, I have no karma, but I'm still suffering. I'm still suffering. I'm suffering. I'm sitting here trying to listen to class, and mosquitoes are biting me. Little suffering, or I'm suffering because I have some bad disease, or I'm suffering because of someone I'm really attached to decided to reject me and go away. So suffering comes in so many ways, and we think, why am I getting all this? Why am I getting birth, disease, old age? Why do I have to die? I'm suffering. So therefore, if we conclude that there's no God, or that God doesn't care about us because of that, that's wrong. The reality is that and this is what this verse that is being quoted here is referring to. If the suffering will be there, but the purpose for the suffering, the reason for the suffering, is that Lord Krishna, He is personally giving us certain situation, which includes suffering. Sometimes it includes something very nice. But he is personally, each of us individually, personally, he is giving us different situations in life that are helpful to us becoming Krishna conscious. Because although the karma has been washed away, Krishna can take karma very easily. He just takes it, he absorbs it. He's not affected by karma. It's his material energy. So Krishna, he's not under the control of the material energy in any way. He's a master. So Krishna is not affected by the karma, but he doesn't take away our free will, because if there's no free will, there's no love, right? If I get a tape recorder, people still have tape recorders. We have if I get a whatever technical thing we have in these days that records, if I have something like that, and I have it set to say, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, and all day it's repeating, I love you, I love you. It doesn't really mean anything. Or if you're listening to it, it loves me, the machine loves me. No, it's just a recording. There's no free will. That's the point. The machine has no free will. It's a machine. So Krishna is he wants a loving relationship with Krishna means that we have to have some free will to decide, do I want Krishna or I don't want Krishna? We have to have free will. There's no question of a loving relationship with Krishna without free will. So because we have free will, and he never takes away that, we don't have a lot of free will. But if we have that free will that we have, if he's not going to take that away from us. So what he does is he tries to teach us why he does what he does, so that we understand and we can utilize our free will and become Krishna conscious. So in other words, what Krishna is doing, and when he puts a devotee, a practicing devotee, in difficulty, he's helping us to become free from the mentality that caused us to become entangled in the material energy in the first place. It's helping us become free from that mentality. The karmic reaction has already gone away, at least as of the first initiation. And a lot of it's going away anyway, because we're chanting Hare Krishna and taking prasadam and doing so many devotional things. But it's finally washed away. So there's no karma, but we have to change our mentality. And our mentality, so sometimes he puts us through difficult situations. Sometimes he puts us through very nice situations. But he is personally giving it to us, not as karma, but as something he is doing personally in each of us individually to help each of us individually to become Krishna conscious. That's what is actually happening here. So here's the example of Gajendra. Somehow or other he took that birth. He's an elephant. Normally animals have no such way to have thoughts like he's having. It's not common. But somehow or other it was arranged like this. So he had this situation. So, he took that kind of a birth. He was put in a very difficult situation, which you say, well, if God loves everyone, why does he put you in a difficult situation? He puts us in a difficult situation to help us to become closer to him. You can imagine if we were trying to become Krishna conscious, and there was no, if everything in our life was like, well, they say, they have the term peaches and cream. It means like are really sweet, peaches and cream. It means it's a very it's a nice eating. It's a very nice combination, peaches and cream. But if everything was very, very, very nice, very sweet, no problems, it was just floating along in life, no problems, no anxieties, then we would never, ever want to become Krishna conscious. Because we wouldn't even care if there's God. We might even believe, I'm God. I'm as good as God. I've got everything. I'm feeling really good. I don't need anything. I'm completely happy. Like that. So Krishna has to help us. He doesn't have to do anything, but to help us, and he puts us through difficult situations. Some more difficult than others. Some require more difficult situations than others. But he puts us through all this so that we, who are practicing Krishna consciousness, will want to surrender to him. So, because if we remember the first part of this chapter, the previous chapter, Gajendra, king of the elephants. So he's the king. He's the enjoyer. He's powerful, and he has many elephant wives and like that, and they're going, and everyone's respecting him, and he's going and bathing and playing in the river or the water there, and his whole life was very. It's just like sense gratification. It's just everything was good. They had no problem, no enemies, no nothing, until he got bit and started fighting with this gigantic crocodile, and for 1,000 years, and then he was in so much pain he couldn't get away. He finally found some living entity that he couldn't defeat, like that. But because of that, he started thinking in terms of something besides his material body. He started actually realizing that there's got to be a God. I've got to pray to that God. He didn't really know anything about God to speak of, but he had some sense that there was some God, some superior, which is a lot more than a lot of people today have. So he was actually very intelligent in that sense. And he started offering all these nice prayers, which it says that he somehow remembered or reminded of them, which means the Lord in the heart. He was reminded of these prayers, and he's offering these prayers from previous. He remembers them somehow from previous life. And again, we don't usually remember anything from previous life. Usually, when you change the body, you forget everything. But sometimes, even in modern times, sometimes you'll find someone who they had died previously. They took another body, and then they remember certain things. They remember, this is the house I lived in, but when I was living here, the door was in this place instead of that place in the house. And Shishi Gurnitai, Shishi Radha Vrichavihara, Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadra, Gurna Trigade, Gawad Maharaj, Ki Jai. So sometimes, occasionally, someone has some remembrance from a previous life, whether they understand that that's what's happening or not. But generally, as soon as we change our material body, we don't remember anything. It goes. Our former memories and former knowledge goes away when the body is changed. The soul goes into another body. But anyway, Gajendra somehow or other got that good fortune that he remembered this prayer. He didn't know who he was previously. He didn't know any of that, but he did have this prayer. He had memorized it previously, and by the Lord's grace, he was able to remember it. Krishna is in his heart and is giving this remembrance. Krishna says, I am the source of all knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So we want to remember Krishna. Krishna is there to help us remember him. If we want knowledge, he's actually giving us knowledge from within the heart. And if we want to forget him, then he also allows us to forget him. if we spend our whole lifetime dedicated to materialistic, animalistic activities, if we do that, then we're showing that I don't even want to think about God. I don't even believe in God. I want to think about God. And He will give us He'll satisfy that. He'll give us a birth, probably in an animal form or plant form, where we have no ability to think about God, or maybe even a human form, but where we have no, we've become determined to be an atheist. Some people are just from the beginning of their lives they're just determined. I'm an atheist, and I'm going to preach atheism to others, and that's just their mood. So, but whatever we want, Krishna is there to help us. If we want to remember Him, He will help us remember Him. If we want to forget Him, He'll help us to forget Him. He doesn't take away our free will. But of course, if we forget Him and we want to forget Him, then we'll take not such an auspicious birth. If we want to remember Him, then He'll help us to remember, and we can have a human body, or in the case of Gajendra, he had an elephant body, but he had some intelligence and human intelligence. So in that way, so as far as we always try to see how we can utilize these verses, these histories, these purports in our own practical becoming Krishna conscious. That's really the whole point of it. So for us, it means we practice in Krishna consciousness. When things go difficult, we don't give up. We don't walk out. We don't give up the path of Krishna consciousness. We don't necessarily even say that my suffering is caused by, I would be happy except for that guy over there, that devotee over there. He's always caused me so much problem, like that. We may externally feel that way sometimes, but we have to understand, or we have to come to understand that ultimately our happiness and our distress, when we're practicing Krishna consciousness in particular, our happiness and our distress are being given to us personally and lovingly by Lord Krishna. And we have there's so many histories in the Srimad-bhagavatam, and actually the Mahabharata, and it's also parts of that are in the Srimad-bhagavatam, just like the Pandavas. You know who the Pandavas are? Pandavas, the five Pandavas. So the Pandavas, they went through so much problem. They were basically in the course of their lives, they spent many years in exile. They're cheated. They're cheated in a gambling match, and in the end they had to go into exile for so many years, and then couldn't be seen, with the agreement that if anyone in all that time anyone found them and identified them, they would have to go another 13 or 14 years in exile. And in the meantime, the Dhritarashtra and his sons Duryodhana, they took over the kingdom, like that. So finally, they went through all that, and of course then all this led up to the Battle of Kurukshetra. They go so much far. 640 million people, I believe, died in 18 days. And there's no other war in existence ever that was that big of a battle. 640 million people in 18 days died in that battle. And it was all to establish um, Lord Yudhisthira, who was actually the rightful king, to establish him. And Lord Krishna wanted that. He wanted a devotee, pure devotee, to be in charge to be the emperor. He wanted that. So they went through all this for all these years, so much trouble. Draupadi's, the wife of the Pandavas, she had a child from each one of them. And one time, somebody came and who's the person's name now? He came and while the sons were sleeping, he killed them all. So another, the mother had all five of her children get slaughtered one night while they're sleeping. How does she feel? It'd be so much difficulty. Anyway, they went through all this, and finally, in the very end, the battle of Kurukshetra was over, and Bhishma, grandfather Bhishma, who was lying on the bed of arrows, which means there were like hundreds, maybe thousands of arrows shot through his body, and he's lying on that. He's not just put arrows on the ground; he's laying on it. He's actually arrows that have gone through his body. But he had a benediction that he would not die until he wanted to die. So he was lying in it very, imagine we could get a little splinter in our fingers, like unbearable. It hurts. Or step on the thumbtack on the floor. He had hundreds and thousands of arrows stuck all the way through his body, which would have killed anyone. So you can imagine the pain. But he was like that. But he was also a pure devotee of Krishna. So he's lying on his back on this bed of arrows that are shot through his body, and Krishna used him also to teach so many things, because Maharaj Yudhisthira asked him questions while he's lying in this condition. He's asking him questions because Yudhisthira is about ready to become the king or start acting as the king now after the battle, and he's asking questions about what the purpose of human life, the function, how the different varnas and ashram members of the society, how they should properly act. I don't remember all the questions. There were so many questions he asked. And Bhishma, in this very difficult situation, just spoke. Just like Srila Prabhupada, who was also in a very difficult situation when he was in his last several months of his physical life here. But he was speaking. He was dictating the Srimad-bhagavatam, the 10th canto, I think volume 3, depending on the printing. And it was one of those. He was dictating that perfect purports. But we get a little headache or we're in a bad mood or something, and somebody wants to talk to us. Just go away, leave me alone, right? Don't bother me. But Srila Prabhupada was actually appearing to be completely unaffected. And in fact, Srila Prabhupada says like that, when one becomes to the level, actually Lord Shiva makes this statement. Oh, Nectar Devotion again. You get a Nectar Devotion? Nectar Devotion is a nice book. It's a very sweet book. It's chapter 19, I believe. Thank you. Chapter 19, if I remember. Sorry, I don't know if I've seen it immediately. But anyway, Lord Shiva is describing in the chapter here on pure love of Krishna. He's saying how the pure devotees who are on the level, who are pure devotees, completely pure, completely surrendered to Krishna. He says they cannot even perceive of the material happiness or this material distress of this material world. It's hard to imagine because we're trying to become Krishna conscious, and we definitely can experience these things. But the pure devotee is so transcendental to everything. If there is distress, he's seeing it as Krishna, it's Krishna's mercy, Krishna's blessings. And if there's happiness, he's seeing all that also as Krishna's mercy. So, and he's so transcendental like this that he's not really affected by it. So just like Srila Prabhupada in his final days, months, he was in this very difficult situation, but he was unaffected by it. He would preach as normal. Physically it was obviously a difficult situation. Srila Prabhupada's body was like skin and bones. If your skin is just rubbing on your bones there's no muscle or anything there, then it's painful. At least it's said to be painful. I can't say from personal experience because I'm not in that situation, but it's very painful, unbearably painful. So Srila Prabhupada was in that condition, but he went on preaching. He went on dictating his books. He went on giving instructions to his disciples what to do and what not to do. He was unaffected by it, unaffected by what was going on in the bottom of his body, like that. So this is what we can look forward to upon becoming Krishna conscious. But as far as and in the meantime, to become Krishna conscious, then we need to follow the example of Gajendra here, and understand that if I'm in a very difficult situation, his conclusion was, I'm in a difficult situation, but I'm not going to give up my devotion for the Lord. That was the point I started to make about the Pandavas. They went through so much, but they never gave up their faith or their love for Krishna. And they knew that Krishna was there, and they knew that Krishna could have saved them from all this situation that they went through. But they never gave up their love for him. They never gave up their faith in him, like that. The same thing with Bhishma, who was on the bed of arrows. Bhishma. Grandfather Bhishma. He was on this bed of arrows, horrible material situation. But he waited, and he said he had his benediction that he would not die until he was ready to die. He would say, now's my time. So he was able to keep his life together, and he wanted to wait until Krishna was there, and he was there in this scene, standing in front of him, and he was meditating on Krishna, seeing him in front of him, there, lying down, and offering his prayers to him, and then he gave up his body at his will, like that. So so devotee is always trying. The devotee is right now as we're trying to become Krishna conscious. We should just remember that Krishna, whatever happiness or distress I'm experiencing, Lord Krishna he is arranging it. He's arranging it. It's not, we could say this person, that person, but ultimately Krishna is arranging that this happiness or distress to help us become Krishna conscious. And when we become fully Krishna conscious, then we can expect to be on the level like Srila Prabhupada showed he was, the grandfather Bhishma showed he was, that the Pandavas tolerated so many things and showed their level because they were fully Krishna conscious. So this is something we can aspire to that kind of consciousness. That we will come to that if we follow this direction and just go on with the devotional service, appreciating Krishna, not going against, not looking down on him, not rejecting him, and just an understanding that he is doing this for me so I can become Krishna conscious. So I do not have to come back and take another birth in this material world. So this is our situation, and this is, although it is not necessarily easy to remember that, that's why we have to read the books and hear the classes and meditate on what we hear in the classes and read in the books to help us to become Krishna conscious. So maybe I'll stop. Any questions, comments? Yeah, questions, comments.
So that verse talks that in the 10th canto that we mentioned in the verse, the tolerance, all of these things are going to come. And then you're talking now about how Prabhupada has to tolerate. I remember watching that video on his deathbed. He's lying, and he's just about to leave his body, and he's still preaching. You just hear him. He's still instructing his disciples on his deathbed. And I was thinking of the similarity between that and when we're talking about Bhishma. And Bhishma is laying on the bed of arrows. He was waiting for the opportune time to leave and taking every opportunity to speak Krishna Katha, to talk and glorify Krishna. So that's an example for us in our situation when we are having difficulties and we're struggling. I was also thinking about another instance when Srila Prabhupada was in New York. And, we had to tolerate so much. We know about the fact that coming across on the Jolly he had 2 heart attacks and he comes to New York. And, it's like never ending. It's kind of like you can see a parallel or similarity between what Prabhupada went to the battlefield of Kurukshetra, because Prabhupada's coming right to the battlefield. New York City, there's no greater battlefield as far as my is concerned than New York, so-called greatest city in the world. And tolerating and dealing with all these things, and even to the point where Prabhupada had to, coming in and never having to have anything to do with being a pure vegetarian, coming to America and living in the apartment and having to share a refrigerator with someone with meat inside and illicit sex is going on, and living with a crazy person where Prabhupada had to actually abandon the building and just leave because his roommate had some psychological problems. All these things that Prabhupada tolerated. When you look at that and you think, here is an example that we have. We can read the Bhagavatam and try to make a correlation with Bhishma, but we have an example now, a lifetime, an example that footsteps that we can follow in our situation. And then Prabhupada gives a clear, simple solution to how to get to that position of Bhakti Bhakti Krishna is to, and we say this, to follow the four-legged principles, chant at least 16 rounds a day, and what am I missing? Follow the four-legged principles 16 rounds a day, eat Krishna Prasadam, and associate with devotees, following the four. Of course, there's, mind processes, but these are the stepping stones for us to be able to, achieve that goal. So, it's a great example of tolerance. And what we have to do to achieve, we have to just keep striving on with the things that are, placed for us. I don't know, maybe I once heard that, some of the devotee was mentioning that Krishna never gives us more than we can tolerate. And sometimes I doubt that. I think, no, that's not true. I'm giving more than I can handle.
Yeah.
But somehow or other, Krishna comes through, and he always is there for us if we make that effort.
That's right. He gives us He doesn't give us more, but he doesn't give us a drop less either. He's right on the line. Anyone else?
Well, you just quoted Lord Shiva's statement that the true devotee is above all the distress, material distress,
Yeah.
and even above the material happiness. So his mindset is always transcendental.
Yes.
It really corresponds, I think, with the Christian concept that be in this world, but at the same time, I can't quote exactly, but be in this world, but out of.
But not of this world.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
So it really corresponds. I think it really corresponds to this.
Yes. The general principles between different religions are all the same. The actual principles are the same. So yes, like live in this world, but not of this world. Live a spiritual life. You're in the material world. You have a material body. You got to deal with so many things because of the body. But your consciousness and purpose should be something beyond this material world, the spiritual, religious, godly.
And we should always remember that this is, anyway, very temporary.
Very, very temporary, yes. You don't realize until the end and say, what happened to my life? Why did my life went by so fast? When we're little kids, that you were thinking, 6 more months before I'm 5 years old. It takes forever. And then when we get into our 70s, then we're thinking, I lived another day. How much longer do I have? So like that. Time is relative, but overall, it's all very, very temporary. The material existence. It's all very temporary. And it's actually said, there's a Bhagavad Gita verse saying that how does it go? What is real? Okay, maybe exactly the verse goes. What is real has no cessation. Is eternal, and what is not real has no endurance. I think is the word that's used. So you think, well, so I guess nothing here is real. Well, in that sense, yes, it's here. Obviously, we see things. We're in a room. There's that building, and we're sitting on the marble floor, and we've got these bodies. So it's real. It's not exactly like the my body idea that it's just an illusion. But in the sense of that verse, if it's real, then real means it's spiritual. That doesn't end. It's eternal. That sense. And what is not real, what is temporary. And if you look in terms of eternal time, in terms of eternal time, we could say, well, I'm in the course of 100 years, if we live to be 100 years old, then we have some experience. But that 100 years, if you say over 4 million years, 100 years is like a flash. It practically doesn't exist. It's like you're standing out on the highway, I-95, or the car, watching the cars go by really fast, and you see them see a car off in the distance coming. It seems to be going really kind of slow. It gets closer and closer and closer and closer. It appears to be getting faster and faster. And then there's about a split second there, which is your timeline passing you, and then it's gone. So it's always coming or it's always going, right? And the time that is actually there, your presence, goes so fast you don't even know. So for 10 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, you see it coming, and maybe for another 10 seconds you can see it down the road, and for about 1/10 of a second, 1/100th of a second is actually your reality, which means like when it's right there in front of you. So life is like that. We have this material body. It seems we have this sense of some amount of time, but for a million years, or even thousands of years, without that, maybe 100 years if we live that long, is very quick and short. And if you think in terms of Mahavishnu, these universes are all created and destroyed and created and destroyed. That's one breath of his. One breath. He breathes out, and everything's created, millions and billions and trillions of universes. And he breathes in, and everything's gone. So his one breath for Lord Brahma in our universe is 311 trillion years of our time. Well, that's just one breath of Mahavishnu. So yes, it's all very temporary. And while we have our particular situation right now, human form of life, the chance to chant Hare Krishna, chance to do so much devotional service, then we should utilize it, and in due course of time, which will happen very quickly, quicker than we think it's going to happen, we come to the end of our lives, and by simply that, at that point, we have all opportunity to go back to the spiritual world, and then there's no more of this birth and death and disease and old age and all this problem that we have experienced for as long as we've been here. Everything is eternal, and everything is happy and fun and enjoyable with Krishna. That's the situation. So I think we have to end here. So thank you for those who have come. Hare Krishna. Yeah.